See all of you. It's a wonderful team. Where is he?
ايش بالنسبه انه في اكستنشن واشياء نقرب المايك عادي بتزيح طعم الناس. لا 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 تعال تعال هون 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 ايوه
ليش ما هو ستاند يعني تبعت الفلسطين فلسطين؟ هلا انا بعد ما احنا طلبنا اثنين طلب ثالث
Linda, hi, how are you? We need the third mic, please.
هذا مين هذا؟ مين هذا؟
Yeah.
هذا يمكن هذا
How soon can it be?
This mic is translation.
Please, I need a third
This
mic.
is the translation? Yes. All right. So
There you go.
خلاص
there's one here, there's one here, and there's another one back there. It's a set. It's the standing one back there. I don't have another wireless. Do you have another one? You want another wireless?
2 3 تيست 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 1 2 3 جود تمام.
طب ما هم مسوينها هلا شو كيف نقدر نحل هذه مشكلة. هذا الستاند ده مين؟
هذا الزمن الفرنسي هذا موجود هون كان.
هو هذا موجود من الأوتيل عشان
اه
طيب
بنحط له المايك تبعه هيك
كيف
باخذ صوت.
هذا مش منظر
هو اللوجو تبعنا عشان اللوجو ماذا معناش ستاند مايك. شو بنعطيك له معه؟ إذا معه بحل بعدين شنو بس انا غيرت محل
بيكون حدا من جماعة
يعني حد من الجماعه
انت حطيته ايوه اسمع ما ينفعش شيء محل تعال تحط الطريقه تعجبك. تقدر تحطه مع هاي اذا بدك تربطه تستأذنها.
انا اصلا استاذنتني عشان
طيب تربطه مع هاي الطريقه.
بدناش الاي بي عارف شو جن شوف سنين
هيك بيجي قدام الرئيس بالضبط.
بس بدي اشوف اذا اعطيك مع
هذا لازم يكون قدام الزلمه. كيف بدنا نعدل بدون ما نعمل طوشه؟ هذا اول مره. هذا المايك لاول مره. كيف بده يبقى نقربه شويه بدون ما نزيد؟
عادي بنزيد هذا المايك اول ما هذا اوريدي سيت اب لاول ما صح؟ كده على الاخر.
تمام. هذول حطهم موزع
الجزيره هذول ماسكات في بعضهن.
كيف ممكن يتوطى شوي؟ لازم يتوطى.
مط على الاخر.
كيف بتوطى؟ هذا مط على
مط على الاخر شايف بدك ترفعه هيك برفع. بس مط على الاخر. ممكن نحط هذول هيك تمام؟ هيك تمام؟ للصبية
ماشي مع اصحابه. ما يلا ساعه
أنا أبدأ. فقرة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرحب كل الترحيب بالصديق العزيز محمود أولمرت، الصديق الذي أعرفه منذ فترة طويلة من الزمن، والذي عملنا معه من أجل السلام، وكنا نعمل بجدية وإخلاص لهذا السلام.
Allow me to warmly welcome my dear friend Mahmoud Abbas, who I work with very, very closely in order to achieve peace, and I welcome him at any time.
كان لدي هذا الصباح كلمة في مجلس الأمن أكدت فيها على تمسكنا بالسلام كخيار استراتيجي وعلى أساس الشرعية الدولية والمرجعيات المحددة، وصولا إلى تحقيق مبدأ حل الدولتين على حدود 67.
I delivered a speech this morning in the Security Council in which I reiterated our strategic commitment to peace as a strategic option and on the basis of international legality, and specified terms of reference getting to achieving the two-state solution on the 1967 war.
قبل مدة قليلة طرحت خطة سميت خطة السلام أو صفقة السلام من قبل الإدارة الأمريكية، إلا أن هذه الخطة تتنكر لقرارات الشرعية الدولية وتقضي على حل الدولتين، ولا يمكن أن تكون أساسا لأي مفاوضات تقود إلى سلام منشود. لذلك رفضناها وجرى رفضها من قبل معظم دول العالم.
A few days ago, the so-called deal of the century was introduced, which was totally denying international legality and destroying the two-state solution, and cannot be a basis for any future negotiations that would lead to our joint endeavor to achieving peace. This is why it was rejected, not only by us, but by the international community.
قبل قليل التقيت مع السيد محمود أولمرت الذي كنا على صلة دائما معه في الفترة الماضية، في السنوات الماضية، قبل أن تتوقف المفاوضات بيننا. تلك المفاوضات التي أستطيع أن أقول أنها كانت مفاوضات واعدة، ولكننا لم نصل إلى حل. كنا قريبين جدا من الحل ولكن لم نصل إلى حل.
Today, as I said, I had an in-depth discussion with Prime Minister Mahmoud Abbas. We are in touch all the time, and we have worked so closely together to achieve the historic peace treaty. I'm not saying we have achieved an agreement, but we have come a long way and covered all core issues of permanent status.
لدينا مرجعيات وأحدثنا تقدما حقيقيا في مفاوضاتنا معا، وكما قلت في مجلس الأمن اليوم أننا على استعداد لاستئناف هذه المفاوضات، حيث انتهينا مع السيد أولمرت وضمن إشراف اللجنة الرباعية، وليس على أساس خطة الضم وشرعنة الاستيطان وتدمير خيار حل الدولتين ودفع المنطقة وشعوبها إلى أتون العنف والفوضى التي لا نرغب إطلاقا أن نصل إليها.
We have specified terms of reference. We have made really progress, me and Mr. Olmert, in our negotiations, and as I sit today in the Security Council, I'm fully ready to resume negotiations where we left it with you, Mr. Olmert, under the umbrella of the quartet, international quartet, and not on the basis of the plan of relaxation and legalizing settlements and destroying the two-state solution. This pushes the region and its people further and further in the cycle of violence and chaos, something I want to reiterate again, we are against. We don't want violence.
ما يريده الشعب الفلسطيني هو دولة فلسطينية مستقلة تعيش جنبا إلى جنب مع دولة إسرائيل بأمن واستقرار. عاصمتنا القدس الشرقية وعاصمتهم القدس الغربية، ونعيش بتعاون مطلق بيننا وبين الإسرائيليين، وندعو الإسرائيليين أن يرفضوا المواقف المتطرفة التي لا تؤدي إلى فائدة.
What the Palestinian people aim to achieve is to live free, unified within their own independent state, with East Jerusalem as capital, next to the state of Israel on the 1967 borders with West Jerusalem as capital, that we can work together. And I call upon the Israeli people to reject extremism and to reject the idea that destroys peace.
السلام لا يمكن أن يتم بالضم أو بالإخضاع أو بفرض رأي أحد الطرفين على الآخر إطلاقا، وإنما بالتراضي لكي يكون الطرفان سعيدان ومستعدين في النهاية لأن يعيشا مع بعضهما البعض على هذه الأرض.
Peace and security cannot be achieved by subjugation and getting facts on the ground. Peace can be achieved through a genuine dialogue between the two sides, with the approval of the two sides, with taking the consent of the two sides, so both sides can live together, each in their own state, in peace and security.
لنكن على مستوى المسؤولية حتى نعيش سويا مع بعضنا البعض بأمن وسلام، ولا يفرض أحدنا رأيه أو موقفه على الآخر. بهذا يمكن أن يتحقق السلام.
Let us take the high ground, let us raise ourselves to the occasion, let us be responsible in order to give the chance of peace and security for our future generations and to the whole people in the region, and not by one side dictating on the other, by both sides reaching common ground to give the future generation the chance to live in peace.
وأحب أن أضيف وأن أنهي أنه أيا كانت الأحوال بيننا وبين الإسرائيليين فنحن لن نلجأ للعنف إطلاقا. نحن نؤمن بمحاربة الإرهاب والتعاون الأمني بيننا وبين جميع الدول، وكما قلت في الأمم المتحدة نحن لدينا 83 اتفاق أمني لمحاربة الإرهاب أيا كان شكله وأيا كان أصله، وإنما نعبر فقط عن موقفنا بالمقاومة الشعبية السلمية فقط. دون ذلك لا يمكن أن نقترب من أي شيء آخر.
Let me finalize by reiterating that irrespective of the nature of our relationships with our Israeli neighbors, we will not resort to violence. We are against violence and terror, and as I said in the Security Council today, we have more than 83 agreements with the international nation states to fight terror, irrespective of its source and motivations. We want to achieve peace through peaceful means and negotiation, and this we can do so we can live as good neighbors.
قل دائما أن يدي ممدودة للسلام إلى رجال السلام من أمثال يهود أولمرت. بالتأكيد سيكون بيننا سلام قريب، وخاصة إذا كان أيضا برعاية الأمم المتحدة، برعاية الرباعية الدولية، إضافة إلى أي جهة أخرى، لكن هذا هو أن تكون برعاية الرباعية وعلى أساس الشرعية الدولية. نحن لا نريد شيئا خارج هذه الشرعية إطلاقا.
I extend my hand to the Israeli people and to you, Mr. Olmert, and to your Israeli colleagues and politicians in order to resume negotiations under the umbrella of the Quartet and other countries. This is what we must do. This is what we must achieve as Palestinians and Israelis on the basis of international legality under the umbrella of the Quartet in order to achieve our joint endeavor of two states living side by side next to each other.
يسعدني أن أرحب بصديقي الحقيقي صديقي محمود أولمرت، وأن نلتقي دائما وأبدا مع هكذا شخصية تؤمن بالسلام للشعب الإسرائيلي وللشعب الفلسطيني.
Let me express my happiness and appreciation that I once again meet Mr. Olmert, a man of peace, a man who believes in achieving peace, a man who continues to try to achieve peace, and that's what Palestinians and Israelis need to do together in order to achieve that joint endeavor.
شكرا لك.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your kind words to me. I am happy that I had an opportunity to meet with the President of the Palestinian Authority, with whom I am in contact for the last 11, 12 years since I retired my position as Prime Minister of Israel on a continuous basis. And I'm very happy that we had the opportunity to hear today again a repeated commitment by the President of the Palestinian Authority that the Palestinian Authority will make every possible effort together with the Israeli government to defend everyone against terrorist activities and violence, as was manifested by the Palestinian Authority for a very long period of time. This commitment is essential for the creation of the beginning of trust, which is very important for the atmosphere in the relations between the two countries, the two people. I want to emphasize that I didn't come to the United States to criticize the United States President or his political plan. It's not appropriate. There is no reason for me to do it in America, nor did I come to criticize the Prime Minister of Israel. I take every opportunity I have to do it in Israel, but certainly not here in the United States. What I was asked many times, why should I meet with President Abbas now? And the answer is very simple. There are plans, different plans. Now there is the plan of President Trump, which he calls the deal of a century. The plan is aimed to eventually make peace between Israel and the Palestinians. So we have to negotiate with the Palestinians. Who will we negotiate with? I think that there is a partner, and the only partner in the Palestinian community that represents the Palestinian people and that has manifested that he is prepared to negotiate. Unfortunately, we didn't reach an agreement, and we don't agree on everything now. And I have a different opinion about the way the American plan should be handled. But he is a man of peace. He is opposed to terror. And therefore, he is the only partner that we can deal with, and it is important for me, as someone that negotiated with President Mahmoud Abbas for a long time, and I think I had more meetings with President Abbas than any Israeli leader had with any Palestinian or Arab leader together, all together, just him and me, continuously, for more than 2 years. And therefore I think that this is the message that I wanted to pass. I think that it is important to listen not only to the negative sides in the attitude of the Palestinian president, but also to the positive side. He says that he is prepared to negotiate on any given time with the state of Israel. I think that the Trump's plan repeats again one basic principle, which is, I think, the starting point for everything, and this is a two-state solution. Therefore, if this is a commitment, if this is a condition sine qua non that is accepted and must be accepted by all the participants in negotiations, then there is a positive side here which must be pursued further by all sides, including by the Palestinian side. I hope that the Palestinian side and the president and his chief advisor and chief of the negotiating team Saeb Erekat, and all the others will not ignore that there is here a commitment for a two-state solution in the plan of President Trump, and I think that this is something that must be further pursued in order to establish the necessary framework for negotiations that will promote it. These negotiations will take place. It will take some more time, but these negotiations will take place. And the partner of Israel to these negotiations will be Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority. Who will be the partner from the Israeli side, we will know later this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions?
Mr. President, are you unhappy with the support from your Arab allies, particularly Tunisia? You didn't get your resolution. Are you not going to answer our questions?
Excuse me, why can't we ask questions?
I mean, this is just like... Do they want this on
Listen, I'm ready to answer some questions, so
Please,
go ahead.
Could I ask you then, Mr. Prime Minister?
Yes. Just identify yourself. I'm sorry, I apologize.
James Bays from Al Jazeera English. You were here today with the President,
Yes.
and it sounds good that you had such a good time. You got on so well together many years ago, but clearly you don't now have... You're not a political player anymore. You don't represent anyone anymore.
I didn't pretend to present anything except a voice. I'm sorry.
Could you sit down so the microphones will pick up your
Okay,
voice?
thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't pretend to represent any formal body. I'm not a government member. It is well known. The fact is that you all guys are interested to hear what I have to say. So this is a good enough reason for me to want to share with you things which I think and which may represent opinions of a large number of Israelis.
Sir, why didn't you, a lot of newspaper, why didn't you reach
who
a
is
agreement?
responsible of stopping the negotiations process? Because the Israeli ambassador said this morning that it was Mr. Abbas, and you know better, you know the details. Can you please clarify this point? Who is responsible? Who did stop first?
I don't think that I'm in a position to refer to anything that happened while I was not in government. Okay, so I don't know what the Israeli ambassador said. I don't know what was the factual basis for what he wanted to say. I can say only this, that while I was Prime Minister, as the President said, we became very, very close to strike a deal. I have submitted a plan. The President never rejected it, but at the same time, the President never said yes to it. And this is where it stopped, because I retired from the Prime Minister's position, and later, everything that happened outside of my control or my influence, I can't say. But I have submitted a plan. I was disappointed. And the President knows that I was disappointed then, and I thought then that he made a mistake, and I didn't change my mind that he made a mistake about not responding positively to the plan that I presented him with. But it's true, I have to be honest, and to emphasize that he never said no to what I proposed to him. I'm sorry, you wanted to ask?
Yes, so what is in your plan that is different from what we are hearing today? What are the principles of your plan? My name is Iksan Aziz from Al Arabi newspaper. Thank you.
The basic thing, I will not go into all the details. The territorial aspect of my plan was based on the 67 borders with swaps of territories. I presented a plan based on the ideas that were raised originally by President George W. Bush in his famous letter on the 14th of April 2004 to the Israeli government, that within the framework of a permanent agreement, 3 demographic centers in the West Bank will be integrated into the state of Israel, and there will be swaps of territories. So my plan, based on this concept, was presented to the president, that the bottom line was that the basic principle of the 67 borders was respected, but with the necessary changes as part of it. The other thing that I proposed was that we will negotiate the refugee issue within the framework of the Arab Peace Initiative. I never accepted the Arab Peace Initiative as such, but I agreed that this will be the framework within which the issue of refugees will be discussed. And number 3, just as President Trump proposed in his plan, that East Jerusalem will be the capital of the Palestinian state. This is said in the deal of the century, and I agree with this. So these are and of course the status of Jerusalem, the Holy Basin, will be governed by a trust of 5 nations, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the Palestinians, Israel, and America, within the regulations and rules that will be accepted by the Security Council of the United Nations and by the General Assembly of the United Nations, with complete freedom of practice for all religions in Jerusalem.
Mr. Olmert, Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. You suggested that the Palestinian leaders and the Israelis sit down together. But President Abbas made clear just now and to the Security Council that he will not sit down and negotiate with the United States as a mediator, and he wants an international conference with the Quartet, the Security Council, and other countries. Is this something that you think could get both sides back together to the negotiating table?
Look, number one, I'm certainly against boycotting the United States of America. I mean, this is clear. I think I've manifested it from the first sentence that I said here. I didn't come to criticize. I didn't come to reject the proposals of the president. I came to look for the options to resume negotiations on the basis of a 2-state solution. And I think that this is something that can be done. Now, I don't agree with the president on everything. On the other hand, the fact remains that he said here in the most explicit manner that he, number one, that he is prepared to resume negotiations with the Israeli government on the spot. If you ask me, when I was prime minister, I didn't want the mediation of the quartet, and I didn't want the mediation of America. The involvement, yes. Good advice, definitely. And at the time that I was prime minister, Condoleezza Rice visited the Middle East more than she visited any other part of the world. And she was very much curious, and she cared about everything. But when I sat with the Palestinians, I sat alone. I didn't need anyone to foster me or him when we sat together. So I think that we have to draw a distinction here. I don't know about mediation. I think that grown-ups and mature people and mature leaders can sit directly, and the distance between Jerusalem and Ramallah is so short that there should be no problem for the Israeli leaders and the Palestinian leaders to meet and to discuss directly without the presence of any third party. However, I would not suggest that we will ignore the most important friend that we have in the world, which is the United States of America. And President Trump is a very good friend of the State of Israel, and I have no reason to complain about him or to criticize him. On the contrary, I mean, he has manifested his friendship to Israel in many different ways, which can be respected. As I said, the basic thing is that the bottom line of negotiations is a two-state solution. What will be the shape? What will be the size of territories? What will be the exact technical aspects of all these important parts of an agreement? This has to be negotiated in as long as this principle is accepted. And I think that the one positive thing definitely in the plan of President Trump is that this principle is accepted by him.
Mr. Prime Minister, you said...
who are you? May I ask? Pardon?
Jacob Kondel, Jewish insider.
Yes.
You said that you met constantly with Abbas.
I said that I was in constant contact with Abbas. I met with him several times and I talked to him a lot.
Have you tried to influence him to engage with the U.S. administration based on certain principles of this plan? And as a follow-up, how do you respond to critics saying that by you standing with Abbas here in New York, you're interfering in the Israeli political process?
Well, number one, I interfere with the Israeli political process every day because all the different channels and networks want to interview me, not just because of this meeting, but on a regular basis and to hear my position. And I speak in a very clear voice. There can be no doubt as to what my position is about the Israeli politics, about the outcome of the desired outcome of the elections. So, I mean, all these comments about interfering with Israeli politics is, I think, ridiculous and really do not deserve even a serious answer. The other thing is, what did I say to Abbas? I think I said it here, that if the principle of the two-state solution, as is spelled out in a very clear way at the plan of President Trump, is indeed a commitment, is a firm commitment, and this is the goal of the potential solution, then there should be ways to advance negotiations on that basis.
Mr. Prime Minister, Ben Sales from Jewish Telegraphic Agency. Serious negotiations between Prime Minister Netanyahu and Abbas haven't happened for the past 5 years. Now, with the
Why only 5 years?
Palestinians toward the U.S., what makes you think that the negotiations are going to happen now?
I can express my hopes. But I'm not sure that the next partner for negotiations on the Israeli side will necessarily be the one who is now in the government.
Have you heard from Gantz that he's ready to negotiate with Abbas?
I'm not speaking for Gantz, and I'm not working for Gantz, I'm not speaking for Gantz, I'm not advising Gantz, and he's not working for me, and I have no authority to express what he may think because I don't know. You can judge what he may do by just listening to what he says, but I'm certainly not someone that can speak for him.
Sir, Nabil Al-Assad again from Al-Arabi TV.
Yeah.
Mr. Abbas said that he can have a partner, someone like you from the Israeli side. So who's the partner now on the Israeli side? Who you think can be a partner with the Palestinians?
I respect the president for everything that he has tried to do, but he is not in a position to choose the partner from the Israeli side, just as I think the Israeli government is not free to disqualify anyone that is representing the Palestinian people. And the one who represents the Palestinian people is Abu Mazen. The Israeli representative will be the Prime Minister of Israel, whoever he will be. Now, the Prime Minister is Netanyahu. And months from now, I don't know.
Mr. Olmert, are you considering to go back into politics to advance the
It's not on the agenda.
One last question from me. You said that
Don't limit yourself.
You said that your opinion has support in Israel, what your view is. How much much support does it have, and is that support growing?
Look, I'm not representing, and I don't pretend, as I say, to represent any faction or any group or a specific group of people or any party. I think that the ideas that I spell out, the positions that I hold, are widely accepted by Israelis. I think that the majority of the Israelis are not on the right-hand side refusing to negotiate and demanding annexation of the territories. The fact is that in the last two election campaigns in Israel, which took place in the year 2019, the right wing couldn't form a government. They didn't have enough majority, enough votes to form a government. So I think it shows that the majority of the Israelis are not necessarily on that side of the aisle. Now the question is whether there will be enough votes for the different opinion, which is at least partly represented by what I say. I hope so. I don't know. But I'm not involved in the political process, and I'm not representing anyone in politics, however, in Israel. However, it must be clear, everything that I did all my life, and I'm doing now, I'm doing for the state of Israel. I'm not here, as I said, in front of the president. I didn't come to represent him or to support a campaign of the Palestinian Authority or to speak for them. This is not, I never did it, and I'm not going to do it. I speak for the interest of my nation as I think they should be represented. Thank you very much. Thank you.